can use it. Okay, I didn't know, there was no explanation, it's just a whole bunch. Thank you. Okay. As I mentioned earlier, we also have 3 war vets. That's World War II, Korea, and Vietnam. We have them with us, and 1 Pearl Harbor survivor that we know of. Now, this Pearl Harbor survivor, which Mr. Duncan sitting over here, is going to have the opportunity to, guess what, come back here to to Washington, D.C. in December with a whole passel full of other Pearl Harbor survivors. Okay. And since we started this, and I had the opportunity to meet Mr. Duncan, we had the opportunity to meet Mr. Duncan, sorry. We've learned that there are at least 2 more in the area, in our area, that are Pearl Harbor survivors. But as Mr. Duncan can probably tell us, they're leaving us very quickly. So, I think personally that this is an absolutely great way for everybody to be able to say to our veterans of any era, but mostly of the greatest generation, thank you very much. Again, if it wasn't for you, we would not be here. None of us would be here. Okay? Now here's the last story I want to leave you with. We all hear about the news stories every once in a while, where you've got the, and please don't try to make this a total assimilation, where you have an old high school male who meets his old high school female flame, and 40 years later, 50 years later, 60 years later, you know, then widower, they get together. Okay, that's not the case here. Close, but not the case. We have with us 2 individuals who grew up in the same town, were in the same junior high, Boy Scouts, high school. One went to the service at 17, the other went to the service at 18, and 68 years later, you know where they met? On a bus, right here with Honor Flight San Antonio de Valero. Mr. DeLuna and Mr. Guerra, right over here. One looked at the other and said, I know you. The other one says, yeah, you look familiar. Well, as it turns out, I'm probably going to get this wrong. Mr. DeLuna, you live down the street from his sister? Is that correct? The other way around, okay. Mr. Guerra lives down the street from Mr. DeLuna's sister.
Small world.
Small world, thank you very much. So what do you think, okay? How many times did it happen? Flip a coin. But here we are, 68 years later, and these 2 gentlemen get together. What a story. So, as I told them when they were telling me this, well, you know what? This is one heck of a trip. Okay, it's our honor to be able to make this the trip of a lifetime for you World War II veterans, but that made it for me.
Yeah.
Absolutely made it for me. And I'm going to tell you right up front, okay, you've seen me, I get a little teary-eyed, the whole thing. Tomorrow, if you all, and I'm speaking to the Guardians, mostly, because you're all the younger folk, if you don't get teary-eyed tomorrow, there's something wrong. Because you're going to see some things that will really bring tears to your eyes. I've been through it, okay? Bob can attest to it. You're going to come to tears. Karen, Chrissy has tissues. Okay. All right, so what a heck of a story to end on. 68 years later, they meet on a bus. On a bus, of all places. That's really great. Okay. Anybody have anything that they want to share with us this evening? This is an open mic, so if anybody's got anything to say, because I pulled it apart and we don't have to be here at the same time. So what?
Have some of the veterans,
Yeah. Where's my buddy?
Mr. Brown.
You gotta start.
Oh, here, Mr. Brown. Tell us something that you want everybody else to
You
know.
can blame Chuck for that one.
Anything.
Anything.
Anything you want.
Well, I think I speak for everybody in this room in saying that we're here in a very joyful situation, but we're here to honor those that never did come home.
Amen.
And I feel strongly.
Oh, hold on.
Man, it's never.
I want to say thank you, and I want to say that we are all the home of the brave and the home of the people that have everything to give, but thank God that all of us together we can plan on many good things. God bless you all.
Thank you. Okay, now I'm going to hand the microphone over to a very shy individual, never has much to say. Nobody really knows who he is or what he does, but anybody want to guess who I'm talking about?
Is he unaccustomed to public speaking?
He is unaccustomed to public speaking, yes.
Well, for 65 years, I saw his ship on fire. And for 65 years, I thought they were all dead. On Saturday, I met him. I said, "You survived." I couldn't believe it. All my life, when his ship, April 12/45, because that's when my ship got it too. His ship was on fire from stem to stern. I said to myself, "Hey, Scroggins, nobody can survive that, man. They were jumping off on fire. On fire." And I said, "Oh my goodness." And here I see him. I said, "We both survived Iwo Jima and Okinawa." And that's where I got it too, in Okinawa, and he did too. And look at here, he's alive. Happiest man in the world, because I never figured I'd ever see anybody, you know, because a lot of them were killed on my ship too. But when I heard that Paul here was alive, man, I was the happiest man in the world when I met him. To believe that somebody survived it. And I did figure nobody could survive that deal. He's like me, I survived too. And he saw my ship. Yeah, he was kamikaze too, right? And I saw his ship got hit with kamikaze. And believe it or not, that's a true story, right? The 3 7s.
We were sitting, and for those of you that weren't there, we were sitting in the meet and greet last Saturday. And quiet Mr. Cannon is sitting in the back. Okay. And Paul was sitting in the front, just minding his own business, just staring up at me like, "I can't believe you just told me I can't really go if I don't sit in a wheelchair." It's true. 3 times he said it. I only had to say it once. He goes, "Okay, I got it." But then here's this guy in the back, and he's pounding the desk, and I'm like, "What's wrong with that man?" Then I realized he was actually says, "Has he got a 777 on his shirt?" And I go, "Yes." Is there something wrong with that? He goes, and he names up the whole thing, and then tells the story. That's the reason why I didn't tell that story from up there. Okay, now we're going to hear the other side of the story.
The other side of the story is he enhances the story. So. But I brought with me a picture taken from the cruiser Princeton showing the USS Tennessee in the foreground and my ship in the background on fire. And now he has a picture of the Tennessee.
That is awesome.
Isn't that amazing? You know, just what comes around goes around, and the camaraderie we all share in here. I never did see the movie or read the book of what is it, brothers, something brothers? Yeah, but we're all brothers. We're all brothers regardless of our ethnicity, our age, the branch of service that we were in. We're just all brothers. And thank goodness, this gentleman behind me here has brought us all together. Thank you very much. I was on the USS Zellers 777.
The one closest to
That's,
the ship,
yeah.
the one
And it's,
burning.
you know, the number's pretty good for me. I'm sure.
Yeah, it was quite a story, and, you know, I felt like, okay, did I say something to upset this man, because he's pounding on the desk? And then it was, did he say seven, does his shirt have 777?
You can see it.
I mean, Mr. Cannon scared me, he scares me anyway, because he's waving that hat around all the time, he's doing all kinds, he's a really neat guy. Okay, gentlemen, lady, anybody? Any other stories, anything you want to share with anybody? Okay, any of you young folk want to say anything? Oh, here's a young folk.
Hello, everybody. I'm Julie Gamboa from Laredo, Texas. And this is my daddy. This is my dad, retired Staff Sergeant Dolores Gamboa. He is the only survivor in Webb County of the 3 wars, World War II, Korean conflict, and Vietnam. And I'm very proud of my daddy. Very proud to bring him here. Just a few weeks ago, as I grew up, he would always share with me about Arlington Cemetery. We got to see the state of the dress. We got to vote. We got to do right for our country, like I did for all of you guys. You've got to do the same. And I'm proud to say that my siblings and I are out there always working for our community, because my dad has a 3rd grade education, didn't finish school, but he joined the military to provide for my grandparents and his siblings. And I kept telling everyone that I grew up without a father. Well, how come? Did your dad leave your mom and you guys? Are you guys divorced? Did he leave you? I said, no. I grew up without a dad because he was out there fighting for our country. I was raised in a military way. I'm an Army brat. As an Hispanic family, we are encouraged to learn to cook Mexican food. And I kept telling everyone, sorry guys, I was raised with meatloaf and mashed potatoes. Go figure that. The only thing that I can say is that I'm very proud of being here today. And, you know, I'm a licensed ordained minister, and the Word of God says that God will grant the desires of your heart. And it was my father's desire to come to Washington and see the World War II memorial when it was announced. I lost my mom's younger brother, my uncle, in World War II, Daniel Barrera. And I traveled with his picture and his Purple Heart. So tomorrow's going to be very special for our family. And lastly, a few weeks ago, I shared with a sister in the Lord as we prayed. I said, the only thing that I can say, Carol, is that Dad has got a terminal illness. We don't have much time with him. And his great dream was to go to Washington. And I'm not going to be able to fulfill that for my daddy. Lo and behold, 2 evenings later, there's a newscast with David Garza and Mr. DeGalford from Laredo talking about the honor flight. I called, and 2 days later, Daddy's application was approved. The Lord grants the desires of our hearts. God bless you.
I've had the opportunity to witness the love of a lot of people. And it's really neat when you look around the room and you see all these faces that are smiling. There were some that were a little skeptical in the very beginning because they didn't understand what this was about. But when we started explaining to them that this is, me and the blue shirts, if you will, are doing it for the red shirts, World War II vets. It's very simple. So, thank you. Okay, anybody else? Comments? Okay, well, if there's no more comments and no one has anything else to say, okay, what time are we gonna see you tomorrow morning?
7.
I'm moving away from that.
All right, you're fired. You're fired. Okay, we realized there was some conversations taking place in the lobby earlier today that we are in Washington DC and everything doesn't run in this town like, oh wait, we're talking about logic. I didn't say that. Okay, didn't do that. Okay, one thing we did learn is that the Metro, which is a great mode of transportation around here, for some reason they can't seem to get their guys up before 7 o'clock in the morning. So we're going to have some issues, I understand, with some of the guardians getting them here on time. I'm getting a shake of the head no. Everybody going to be here at the appointed time? Well, that takes care of that problem. Okay, so no later than 6, please, okay? Ish. Okay, we understand. Okay, well, at 6 o'clock in the morning, there shouldn't be too many congressmen, lobbyists, and everybody else out there either. Okay, all right. Nobody else comments? Anything else? Okay, time hack, please. Time hack.
7:47.
1945.
1945. Guess what time that is? Okay.
Bell call.
All right, that means we are done. You are free to do whatever you want. Gentlemen and lady, please don't get into trouble. We don't know anybody in the DC Police Department.
Homeland Security.
Oh, wait. I do not have to tell anybody. I don't, let me rephrase my comment. I don't believe I have to tell anybody outside of DC that police and Homeland Security are two completely different things. So regardless of who we may have working for the federal government, okay, the local ain't gonna help you a bit, all right? So,